Hi guys, what did I want to say? This is one of the most difficult videos. I am hungry and thirsty, but still I have to do this video here. Yes, now I remember, I am here now, in the back part of my room, where I could light the lamp. There are also dead insects in the lamp, but all are dead. There is none of them is living. And in the other lamp that I had been switched off for several hours now, there is still this probably still living insect. And only tomorrow, today Sunday evening, Teresa will hopefully be able to liberate this animal, and that I can light this lamp again. It's this lamp there. Ja, anzünden die Lampe. Ich weiß auch nicht, wie man dem... I don't know how to say it in English. But this is a really serious issue that I want to talk about, that I have to talk about. Yeah, normally, when you are, let's say, when you are 16 years old, you have the responsibility to develop values, personal ethics, personal values that are responsible and that are good, that are justifiable. And when you are 18 years or 20 years old, it should be like that you are a person who is compassionate, who has at least a certain degree of altruism and empathy. And empathy, of course, also. So, and is politically committed to democracy and non-violence. But in my case, this was obviously not the case. Okay, until the year 2002, I was relatively unpolitical. But I was not empathic. I remember that in my teenager years, on a trip, when I was in Hong Kong then, and there was an accident, and I looked, and I wanted to film it, and I was fascinated by it. It was a car accident, and we passed along with the bus or I don't know, yeah. And then one of the people who were with me on this trip insulted me heavily, and he was right to insult me, because I didn't feel compassion with these people who had the accident. And even worse, there was an incident that I also remember. It was also in my late teenager years, I think. It was in Chur, in the cantonal hospital of Chur, where my grandmother was. A very good person. My grandmother was really an emotional, but in a positive way emotional, and very... She also suffered from mental illness when she was very old, before her death, and she had several falls, Stürze in German. She fell down several times, and I think because of that she was in hospital. It was before she became mentally really sick, and she was in the she was in the hospital of in the cantonal hospital of Chur, and I visited her together with my mother, and then a doctor, a female doctor, began to insult me very heavily, very strongly, because she realized that I liked how my grandmother was suffering. And she realized that, and I mean, I was maybe 18 years old then, so not just a sadist 5-year-old boy, but I was almost grown up, or even fully grown up. Yeah, a young adult actually, or an old teenager, and I liked how my grandmother was suffering. It's really, it's absolutely damnable, yeah. And this doctor, this female doctor, realized it and immediately reacted. I think it was the first time that a person, or one of the very few times that a person outside my family insulted me so heavily, but she was right. And I didn't understand. I didn't say anything, but I didn't realize why I was really wrong. But this is not. These were just two incidences earlier. But I was unpolitical, and yeah. And then in the end of 2002, I began to buy these firearms, and I became political. Founded the Reformpartei.ch, this stupid party website where I wanted to promote big corporations and I wanted less democracy, and I wanted that Switzerland joins the European Union, although the European Union is less democratic than Switzerland itself. And I wanted yeah, I thought I'm a progressive guy, but this was not really progressive. I mean, less democracy and more supporting big corporations. This is not progressive. And other issue, yeah, I wanted to promote also public transport, but also private traffic, yeah. Strange. But most importantly, I was armed. I had several firearms, and then I stopped collecting firearms in 2005, but I was still very political and. Of course, still not empathic, altruist, or compassionate at all. And then I met this guy, O. The first letter of his first name is O. I hope I won't say his name, because then I will have to redo the video from the start, because I don't know how to edit the video, so I will... At the moment, I don't know how to edit the video, so I will have to redo the whole video. So please, I have to tell myself, don't say his name. He's just O. Yeah, O is, he asked me a lot. I met him while studying at the university, and I think he went to this university to investigate me, to question me. It was... He knew of my website, and so he was, I think he had ties to, of certainly Anonymous, the group Anonymous, Legalize Global Group Anonymous, but also, at least one or several intelligence agencies, yes. He was really, a well-connected guy. I would realize it afterward, 1 year later. So, but this he asked me a lot of questions, and soon I have to finish. It's already 9 minutes. The video. The worst answer to him. I gave several very bad answers, but the worst answer was, he asked me about preventing Hitler, how or if Hitler should have been prevented. I don't remember the question. I think if Hitler should have been prevented when he was still a child, or I don't know the exact question anymore. But my answer, I know very well still, and this was, yeah, Hitler. Yes, he asked me if I would have if I had prevented Hitler, I think, if I had the chance. Something like that, I'm still not sure. And then I said, no, I was the bacterium who directed the sperm that fathered Hitler in a way that Hitler was created, or I influenced the sperms that they entered the egg, that this particular sperm that was responsible that Hitler had such a bad character, this I meant by saying it. I was a bacterium who influenced the path of the sperm, that this sperm and not another one entered the egg, or something like, yeah. So this is a horrible answer, because it was not what I wanted to say. It was some kind of natural accident that Hitler was created in a way he was created. It was an accident of nature, but of course Hitler was not an accident of nature. He was the culmination, or what he did was caused by a social and political process that had gone terribly wrong. This is a social issue and a political issue, and not a biological issue. And it was also, and of course I also didn't really regret what Hitler had done, otherwise I would have been aware of my horrible implications and the horrible opinion that I felt or thought while answering. And for the victims, or for them dozens, directly or indirectly, dozens of millions of victims of Hitler, it's absolutely a horrendous neglect of the scope of his dictatorship and his crimes, that what he did to the victims. And yeah, I didn't realize that then, and that only now I'm really against any kind of dictatorship, or actually against any type of leadership. Radical democracy should be implemented everywhere, so that there are no leaders at all anymore. In this sense, I am an anarchist now, but I am for eugenics. I know there are transhumanist anarchists, or anarchist transhumanists, who oppose eugenics vehemently, but I am for eugenics, for progress of the human species, but without leaders. Yeah. And Hitler was absolutely the Inbegriff. He was a symbol for a leadership that, for the most horrible imaginal leadership that one can imagine. Yeah, something like that. So I have to stop now, because the video shouldn't exceed 15 minutes. I will make another video about the second very wrong answer of mine. I apologize again for these answers that I gave in 2009, in late spring 2009, early summer 2009. So 9.5 years ago. So I have to stop now. It's Sunday, 11th of November 2018, 4 o'clock in the morning, 4 a.m. 22 minutes and 7 seconds. Okay, thanks a lot for watching it. I should regret it more. I still don't regret it enough, probably. But I know for any kind of power abuse or dictatorship has to be prevented. Bye.